Hey, let me tell you a story. Her name was Emily. She was 22 and she had just moved into a small apartment on the northern edge of Philadelphia. The kind of place with cracked brick walls and staircases that smelled like damp dust. She wanted to prove to herself she could live alone. Her mother had begged her to stay home after college. But Emily wanted independence, freedom, a life without rules. She thought the scariest part would be paying rent on time. But the building had its own secrets. On the first night, she noticed the hallway light outside her door flickered once and then went out. It never came back on. So every evening after work, she stepped out of the elevator into a wall of black air, holding her phone like a torch, screen glow trembling against chipped paint. The silence of that hallway felt heavier than silence anywhere else, like it was not empty but waiting. Emily told herself she was not a kid anymore. She was not scared of the dark, but still she found herself fumbling the keys faster, pushing into her apartment before the blackness pressed against her back. The first week she tried to laugh it off. She bought a cheap lamp at a thrift store and set it in the corner. But when the lamp glowed, the corners of the room seemed even darker. She told herself it was only shadows. Only tricks of the eyes. The second week it got worse. She was carrying groceries up the stairs when she dropped a bag. Cans rolled across the floor. She knelt to pick them up and heard another set of knees hit the ground beside her. Denim against concrete. She froze, breath sharp in her chest. But when she turned, there was nothing, only the humming pipes. Her pulse hammered as she picked up the rest of her food and ran to her door. That night she swore she would not let her mind play tricks. She was stronger than this, but the dark had a way of bending logic. Another night she was in bed scrolling through her phone. When the video ended, the screen went black, and for a second she saw her own reflection. Behind her bed stood a shadow, not shaped like furniture, not shaped like anything familiar, just a darker patch inside the dark, still and silent. She threw her phone aside and snapped on the lamp. Nothing there, of course nothing, but she slept with the lamp on until morning. Her dreams were fractured, heavy with whispers. By the end of the month, Emily had to admit it. She was afraid of the dark. The same fear she thought she had left behind in childhood had followed her into adulthood, and it was stronger now, more aware. Like the dark itself knew she was scared. She began testing it. She switched her lights on and off, staring at the corners of her room. She stood at the doorway of her bathroom with the light behind her, watching how the shadows shifted. And one night she swore the darkness moved against the wall, sliding like smoke, recoiling when the bulb flared. She dropped the switch in panic, heart in her throat. She set her phone to record, placed it on the desk aimed at the far corner. When she replayed the footage, the room looked normal until a moment near the end, when something shifted. A silhouette stepped into frame and stood there, perfectly still. But she knew she had been in the room the whole time, alone. She deleted the file, yet the image stayed in her mind. The dark was not empty. It was occupied. She started avoiding her apartment after sundown, staying late at coffee shops, wandering side streets, calling friends just to hear voices. When she finally came home past midnight, the hallway was waiting, black as ink. And when the elevator doors slid shut behind her, she heard a sigh, long and low, as if the hallway exhaled. She fumbled the key so fast she dropped it, and when she crouched to grab it, she thought a hand reached out of the dark beside her, pale and thin, gone when she blinked. Only the scraping hum of the elevator below. She slammed the door, locked it, slid down to the floor shaking, every muscle taut. Her body knew she was not alone anymore, not ever. She told herself she had to break the fear. She went to a hardware store and bought a heavy-duty flashlight. That night she stood in her living room with all the lights off, the city glow seeping faintly through the blinds. She aimed the beam into each corner. The circle of light cut through the dark, but never for long. At the edges of the beam, something seemed to lean just outside. Every time she moved the light, the dark retreated. But when she held it steady, the blackness thickened. She felt surrounded. She counted to 10. On 7, the flashlight coughed once and died. Fresh batteries. New package. Still gone. In the dim outline of the room, she sensed the shadows closer now, almost touching her. She ran to the lamp and slammed the switch. Yellow glow washed the walls. Empty. Of course empty. But the fear settled hard in her stomach. That night she dreamed she was in a tunnel with a weak light behind her and something moving fast in the dark ahead. She woke with a raw throat. The lamp glowed weaker than usual, as if the dark had learned how to smother it. The next day she asked her neighbor about the hallway light. The woman shrugged and said it had been out for years. No one bothered fixing it. Then she added she never walked that hall at night. Not after what happened a few years back. Someone caught on camera leaving the elevator and then gone before the end of the hall. No trace. Emily felt the floor tilt. She considered moving, but her budget trapped her. She told herself she would endure. She would not let darkness dictate her life. That evening, as she brushed her teeth, she saw the mirror fail to reflect the lamp behind her. The glass showed a room already sunk in black, and in that reflection something stood closer every time she blinked. Emily stood in front of the mirror and watched the reflection of her room sink into black. Behind her in the glass a figure lingered. When she turned to the real room, she saw only her lamp and the wall. When her eyes returned to the mirror, the shadow was closer. She stepped back, heart pounding. She lifted her phone flashlight and shone it at the glass. The light spread like a thin veil, but in the reflection it looked weaker, swallowed by thicker air. Then the lamp by her bed died. No flicker, no sound, just sudden absence. The dark slid across the wall like liquid. Her skin turned cold. She walked to the kitchen, each step too loud. She lit a small candle from a drawer. The flame trembled, but held. In its halo the dark looked rippled, layered, countless edges moving against one another. She whispered that she was safe. The candle bent. The flame stretched sideways, as if something breathed over it. That night she forced herself to stay awake. She sat cross-legged on the floor, wrapped in a blanket. Phone propped up recording. Candle beside her. The footage later showed the flame bending, shrinking, swelling as if tested by unseen air. Halfway through the video a shape rose from the far corner. Not rushing, not creeping, just unfolding, taller than the ceiling should allow. She startled herself awake with a short scream. She must have dozed. But the recording proved she was not dreaming. The shadow was real on film. Deleting it did nothing to the dread. On the third week she stopped leaving at night, too tired to keep wandering coffee shops. She locked herself in and tried to sleep early. The dark had learned her schedule. She woke to a silence so heavy her ears rang. The air felt thick. She opened her eyes and saw nothing. Not the ceiling, not her hands. Her room was gone into perfect black. She groped for the lamp, felt the switch click, but no glow. Again and again, nothing. Her phone on the nightstand would not wake. Earlier full, now dead. She whispered her own name to hear a voice. The dark whispered it back, a dry echo from too close. She stumbled out of bed barefoot on cold wood, hands outstretched. Her apartment stretched further than it should. The kitchen too far, the hall too narrow, space shifting under her feet. She turned toward where the window should be, but the faint city glow was gone, sealed. She rushed forward and slammed her shin into a chair. Pain cleared her head. The candle was still on the counter, unlit. She scraped the lighter. Sparks flew, but the wick refused to catch. Behind her the whispering grew louder, like her own voice looped and tangled. She shouted stop. The sound cut off at once. Her breath smoked in the black. She retreated into the bathroom, the smallest room she had, locked the door, turned on a backup tablet she barely used. The screen glowed thin, but steady, pale light bouncing off tile. She crouched in the tub, hugging her knees. She watched the reflection quiver in the faucet. Every few seconds the glow dimmed, though the battery showed full. Shadows pressed under the doorframe, a liquid blackness seeping like water. She cried into her sleeve, repeating that morning would come. Morning always came. Time slipped. Her body stiff, eyes raw. The tablet flickered. The camera opened by itself. The lens faced her. In the screen she saw her own face, and behind her in the tub a taller outline. Not touching, not moving, only there. She dropped the device. It cracked on tile. Light gone. The bathroom sank. She screamed until her throat failed. No one in the building reported hearing it. No one checked until the next day, when the landlord opened the door after a complaint of water leaking below. Inside, everything looked ordinary. Bed unmade, groceries on the counter, a burned-out lamp. The bathroom tub was empty. No Emily, no struggle, only the tablet on the floor, its cracked screen frozen on the last frame. A girl's face wide with terror, a shape leaning close behind her. They never found her. Some neighbors say she ran away. Others whisper she is still there, that if you pass her door at night, you can hear her in the black, not calling for help, just breathing slow and steady, like she became part of it. The dark in that hallway waits for anyone foolish enough to step out of the elevator after midnight. If you ever find yourself alone in a place where the lights refuse to stay on, where shadows feel thicker than they should, remember Emily. Remember that the dark is not absence. It is patient. It notices you noticing it. Stay close for more stories like this and subscribe, because the next one might be darker than you expect.